Welcome to Rent Stabilization 101. New York City has roughly 2.3 million rental units. About 1 million of them are rent-regulated apartments. About 850,000 rent-stabilized apartments are in buildings built before 1974, and the remaining 150,000 are in buildings built after 1973. We're going to focus on the 850,000 older apartments. The vast majority of these are privately owned and get no subsidy or tax breaks. Only about 40,000 of these older rent-stabilized apartments are in the core of Manhattan, which is significantly wealthier than the rest of the city, leaving roughly 810,000 of the rent-stabilized apartments in older buildings outside the core in the outer boroughs. Focusing on those 810,000 apartments, half of them have rents below $1,300. What do these apartments look like? Generally, they have been occupied for decades. They usually have outdated plumbing and electrical. When the occupant moves out, they almost always need a gut renovation to modernize the apartment. But the people living in these low-rent, stabilized, but unsubsidized apartments rarely ever move out. They tend to live there for more than 30 years. They often pass those units along to their family members if they want to leave, or sublet them instead of giving them up. If we look at the other 410,000 apartments, they typically have been renovated in the past decade or so. That's why they have higher rents. In many cases, these units may also have what's called preferential rents. This is when the rent charged is less than what the property owner could legally charge. We estimate that at least 200,000 of rent-stabilized apartments in older buildings have preferential rents. It costs about $1,300 to $1,400 per apartment to pay for operating costs and mandatory capital improvements in an older rent-stabilized building. This is for maintenance, property taxes, insurance, water, and sewer costs, but also for administrative costs, which are much higher than a normal apartment anywhere else in the country because the rent laws in New York are the most complicated in the country. Mandatory upgrades like climate change compliance or shoring up the physical structure of the building are also very high in this city. This is because of more than 100 new laws that have been passed by the city council in the past decade. So more than half of the apartments in older rent-stabilized buildings don't have rents to cover operating costs. This means the other half have to subsidize these costs, if possible. If you own a building where the majority of apartments have been renovated and the rents are slightly higher, then you might be able to cover your operating costs. But if you own a building where the majority of the tenants have lived in the apartments for more than 20 years, then the building is unable to support itself. Unfortunately, that's what we are starting to see in New York City. Nonprofit organizations estimate that more than 3,500 buildings housing more than 300,000 renters are bankrupt and starting to see physical deterioration. The reason is simple: the rents don't cover operating expenses.